Jining is a lonely, disgusting loser who spent his life playing online games. So, when he graduated high school, he got a managerial position in the same internet cafe where he spent most of his life. He literally took the saying, "The apple doesn't fall far from the tree," in a completely different manner. Despite being a loser in society, he still chooses to be a good person. One day, he saves the life of a young girl from a vehicular accident, but he ends up losing his life in the process. His untimely death was acknowledged by the gods, and he was Isekai in a new world. On one snowy night at his workplace, Jining is called by his girlfriend to dump him because she has found a new boyfriend who will let her max out her credit card in exchange for one hot cream puff. Jining did not argue with her because he knew from the start that she was a member of the get-rich-quick scam. After receiving his salary from his boss, he went straight home because he had no friends to party with. On top of it, he cannot really afford to spend his money on the boys' night out because he is so poor. On the way home, Jining found a girl, ready to get Isekai by Truck-kun as her 100th victim. However, since he tries so hard to play the hero part, he jumps and saves the girl from her doom, making the 100th victim instead. Soon enough, his soul came out of his body, which means Truck-kun did his job pretty well. After his soul ascended to the light in heaven, he found himself in a very mysterious realm. At the edge of the long bridge, a weird masked giant that looks like a typical RPG game monster fetches him as ordered by Lord Kiwi. In the final judgment, he receives a mysterious jade stone from the image of a female Fushi. Meanwhile, Lord Kiwi discovers that it is not yet his time to die, but it is already too late because his soul has already reached the afterlife, and there is no way to reverse it. That said, as compensation for his untimely death, he is given some great options by the god of the afterlife. He can choose to be reincarnated as a hero and conquer several battles, to be reincarnated as a genius, to be a highly regarded individual in society, or to be a rich and respected emperor. However, Jining is too picky, and he can't seem to decide which one would he choose. On the other hand, Lord Kiwi has a lot of duties to do, and he cannot give him the whole day to wait for his decision, so he sends him to the Bridge of Life to decide for himself. At the Bridge of Life, he met a beautiful goddess with a floating lantern and two massive personalities. Jining thought he had finally met the waifu of his life, but the goddess told him that he should wake up to the reality that he was too ugly to find a wife.
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world.
While drinking the elixir of life, a dragon beast interrupts the ceremony, and Jining randomly jumps into one of the portals. After the encounter, the two gods talk about Jining and how he manages to trigger the dragon beasts. Moments later, Jining is completely reincarnated as the heir of a noble clan. Despite being a newborn baby, he already takes his chance with his babysitter by playing with her large missiles. 15 years later, Jining continues living his dream life, which includes eating the food he wants and being surrounded by beautiful girls. However, his parents are becoming more skeptical of him because he doesn't seem to possess any of their nobility. Apparently, his parents are aware that he often slacks off during his training sessions, and the issue of whether he can lead the people as the future governor arises with their clan. That said, his father decided to send him to Kunlong, which is a very dangerous place to test if he has made an improvement in his fighting skills. His mother is against the idea, but eventually she reluctantly agrees in order to clear all the speculations and doubts in their minds. When his parents, along with his uncle, checked on him, he tried to put on a show, but his father told him to stop the cap because they were aware that he had been slacking off for quite some time. Jining expresses his intention to explore the outside world. Jai Yichuan then allows Jining to train in the outside world, but only if he can win against the mystical snake beast. At first, Jining almost shit on his pants after hearing the chains from the approaching beast. The snake beast seems quite manageable for him. However, when the magical shackle gets removed, it becomes a Manda snake that definitely belongs to Orochimaru. The snake literally transforms from an Asian size to an American size.
What do you mean by that?
Mommy Milker starts worrying after the transformation of the snake beast. On the other hand, Jai Yichuan stands firm in his decision and ultimately puts his trust in his son. Meanwhile, his uncle Lai starts to belittle Jining, but Jai Yichuan stops him from doing so and says that they should never judge a book by its cover. After exchanging blows and attacks toward each other, Jining seems to be overpowered by the snake beast. That said, Jining strategizes an effective way to defeat the snake beast. He uses flame-breathing 69, the crimson aura of the 9 heavens, and targets the weak spot of the snake beast. Upon delivering his signature move, his black-haired uncle gets dumbfounded because only people who have trained for 30 years can master that move. His uncle Lai wonders how is it possible when he is not even a Hashira, but his brother told him that he is thinking of the wrong anime. On the other hand, the snake beast went berserk after receiving so much damage. Seeing this, Jai Yichuan throws his mystical blade, which Jining transforms into a legendary jade sword using his own sticky liquid. Sorry, I meant blood. With a single strike to the head of the monster, Jining wins and proves his uncle Lai wrong. Little did they know, the death of the snake beast angers its father, the Snake Demon King. The Snake Demon King, along with its minions, starts attacking the people in their west prefecture. Not long after, the news gets relayed to Jai Yichuan, and they quickly prepare to do something about it. However, the Snake Demon Lord is already in the Kunlong, ready to kill Jining to avenge its son's death. Jai Yichuan immediately orders Jining to escape from the Snake Demon Lord, but fails. Meanwhile, the minions of the Snake Demon Lord surround Jining's parents and his 2 uncles. As expected, dealing with the minions isn't easy peasy for them, especially with Mommy Milker's magic that easily kills them. On the other hand, Jining uses his water-breathing 55, drizzling rain sword to attack the Snake Demon Lord. However, the enemy is strong enough to block his attack, and even manages to amputate Jining's left arm, leaving him in great pain. If you think that this would be the end for the protagonist, think again because this is a Chinese anime, and there's nothing that China can't replicate. While escaping from his impending doom, Jining saw his arm flying in mid-air and used his nen stitches to reattach it to his body. Despite having his arm back, the problem doesn't end there because the Snake Demon Lord is ready to slam his tail into Jining. Luckily, Daddy Dearest comes in the nick of time to save the day. Help me spam Daddy Knows Best in the comments section to show your support to Jai Yichuan, and also subscribe to watch more anime otaku videos. Soon after, Mommy Milker arrives to reunite with his son. She is very happy that his son is safe because her husband can no longer satisfy her heavenly cave.
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket.
Sorry, because he is her son. Meanwhile, Jai Yichuan continues to fight with the Snake Demon Lord with all his power and might. When the Snake Demon Lord tries to escape, Jai Yichuan transforms his flaming sword into a bow and uses his bow job skills to penetrate its arrow to its body. However, the Snake Demon Lord did not die from that attack, so he summoned his giant green falcon to chase it down. Jai Yichuan can no longer let him nor his grudge exist, so he plans to eradicate the Snake Demon Lord's existence no matter what. When they reach the mountainous lake, Jai Yichuan uses his bow job skills again and showers it with its load of arrows against the Snake Demon Lord. The attacks seem to be very effective because they made the Snake Demon Lord fall into the water, which is not actually a piece of good news considering snakes can swim in the water. Nonetheless, Jai Yichuan did not see any trace of the enemy after its body was submerged deep in the water, so he thought that he completed his mission properly. On the way home, Mommy Milker and Jining saw dead bodies, which were massacred by the army of the Snake Demon Lord. When his mother blames the demon for all the casualties, Jining argues with her and explains that the Snake Demon Lord only attacks to avenge his son's death. For Jining, none of the killings would have happened if they had not given him the test to prove himself by killing the demon snake. After hearing that, Mommy Milker gets mad and reminds him that she is a female and that females never lose arguments. Jining knows that no matter what he says, he will not win against his mom, so he decides to shut his mouth and let his mom say what she wants to say. Moments later, Qiu-yi arrives to inform him that Chun Kao's father has arrived to get her back to their motherland. Upon meeting Jining, Chun Kao's father tells him she must return to the state of Alabama and fulfill her duty, which is to bear his seeds of life to ensure that their clan will continue to exist. When Jining asks Chun Kao if she wants to go with his father, she makes it clear that she doesn't want to leave him behind because even if he is a disgusting lazy prince with no dreams, he looks way better than her own father. Chun Kao's father gets mad and explains to her that living with them won't result into anything good. He reiterates to his daughter that they will only put her life in danger, considering their conflict with the Snake Demon Lord. Chun Kao makes her point that she is not afraid to die at the hands of the snake demons because she is used to playing the snake of his young master Jining.
Damn!
She even tells his father that she is ready to accompany the prince to the climax of life until she dies, but Jining tells him to live her life to the fullest and not depend on her life choices with him. That said, Chun Kao returns home with his father even though it is not what she wants for herself. Moments later, Jai Yichuan gives his son an amulet that he can use to alert him if he comes across grave danger. After receiving the blessing from his father, Jining is finally allowed to explore the outside world. Jining is so happy about it, and he gets so excited about what awaits him in the near future. On the other hand, Mommy Milker is quite worried about Jining because the Snake Demon Lord is still lurking around their continent. Elsewhere, Chun Kao is very sad after leaving the West Prefecture. She tells her father that the Crown Prince is a good person despite having a bad reputation. Chun Kao even told her father that she should not have left him during the difficult situation in his life. After that, the Snake Demon Lord arrives and annihilates everyone in that village, including Chun Kao and her father. Deep into the woods, Jining is accompanied by Qiuyi and his Uncle Bai on his first outside world exploration. Qiuyi starts to feel worried since they are in the territory of the Azure Sky Snake, which is a very dangerous place for many adventurers. That said, Uncle Bai tells her that there is no place that the Jai clan can't go, which means Jining can go anywhere he wants. Right after saying that, Uncle Bai sleeps like he has entered a very comfortable place. Kinuyi thinks he is delusional, so she leaves him alone. Meanwhile, Jining marvels at the breathtaking beauty of nature that he just witnessed when suddenly a piece of wood from a bird's nest falls onto his shoulder. After seeing it, he decided to climb the tree and check the little nestlings if they were just okay or not. However, upon reaching the nest of the little birds, Jining is attacked by a huge green snake, causing him to get completely out of balance and fall off the tree. Soon after, he heard the sound of a young lady laughing behind the tree that he had climbed. Despite being a perverted prince, Jining is not that stupid. That said, it did not take long for him to realize that she is the one behind what happened. Soon enough, the two start to have a quarrel with each other, considering the fact that they are both egocentric. Jining tells the green-haired girl that she is just a regular NPC, while he is the main character because that is his show. The young girl tells him that while it is his show, it is actually her episode, so he should shut his mouth or she will shut him down. And just like that, the young girl reveals her true form as the giant green snake ready to beat the shit out of Jining. Elsewhere, two unknown individuals are preparing a spell trap for the Azure Sky Snake. After setting the yin-yang spell, they already look for the Azure Sky Snake. To their surprise, a young lad is already facing it, and he even manages to lure it near to their trap. The man with the yin-yang face Ironwood John cannot believe that a young lad can do such formidable techniques. Apparently, Jining doesn't intend to kill her. In fact, he only wants to talk to her, but she never listens to whatever he says, just like his mommy milkers. Soon, Jining gets tired of her stubbornness and decides to threaten her. Hearing that, the Azure Sky Snake transforms into his spiritual form and attacks Jining's chest, leaving his rib cage broken. Realizing the damage he gained from that attack, Jining uses his magic to repair his internal injuries. After that, the Azure Sky Snake continues attacking him and even transforms into her human form, wielding twin sharp blades. At that moment, Jining wonders why it is so hard to deal with the female gender when it comes to arguments. As their fight continues, the two schemers get very excited that their target is getting closer to their trap without them making so much effort. On the other hand, Jining is starting to overpower the human form of the Azure Sky Snake, which his enemy does not like at all. That said, she immediately transforms into her snake form again, ready to devour him and deliver Jining to the afterlife. However, as a person who has experienced the afterlife before, Jining knows that he has nothing to fear at all because he will simply get reincarnated once he dies. So right after that, Jining immediately uses his water-breathing 35 tidal wave to stop her enemy's fatal attack. However, the Azure Sky Snake is very persistent as well in attacking him. Unfortunately, Jining accidentally enters the trap that is set by the two vigilantes. Realizing the situation, he tries to warn the Azure Sky Snake, but sadly he fails. It turns out that his warning comes too late because the Azure Sky Snake has already entered the trap as well. With the perfect timing, Ironwood Jan manages to activate the yin-yang spell intended for trapping the Azure Sky Snake. In that very unfortunate event, the two felt worried about what was about to happen to them. All of a sudden, Jining is kicked out of the portal since they have no use for him from the very beginning.
You're a victim!
The two suspicious enemies remove all the remaining hindrances to their wicked plan against the Azure Sky Snake. Bada bing bada boom, they proceed to activate their wicked spell against their target. Jining is chased down by the hoodie guy, who turns out to have the ability to transform himself into a big black wolf. Jining realizes that the hooded man has the same ability as the young green-haired girl, because, just like the Azure Sky Snake, it has the ability to transform themselves into a ferocious monster. Jining fights back, and he tries his best to lure the chasing enemy into the water. However, Ironwood Jan stops him from following Jining. It is then revealed that Ironwood Jan wants to make the Azure Sky Snake his spirit beast, just like the big black wolf, because he claims to be the reincarnated legendary summoner. His sidekick did not say anything, but deep inside, he knew that his master was referring to the wrong anime. The Azure Sky Snake doesn't want to be someone's slave, so she would rather die from the torture than accept the contract. Meanwhile, Uncle Bai stops Jining from recklessly attacking the enemies. They carefully think of the best ways to save her from the enemies. So, after having some time to think of a strategy, Jining figures out how a lotus can withstand the strong winds better than a huge 3. That said, he started cultivating his skills, and surprisingly, he managed to break through by mimicking the lotus way of the water. Don't get confused, okay? That is not the same movie as Blue Creatures that is directed by James Cameron. As the night arrives, Jai-Ching manages to complete his cultivation process. Suddenly, a stupid hungry wolf decided to make Jining its dinner to aid his hunger because the humans took their hunting jobs from them. However, since Jining has already managed to complete his cultivation, the stupid wolf takes his final leap, turning him into shredded meat. Meanwhile, the Azure Sky Snake still refuses to accept Ironwood Jan as her master, for she doesn't want to be ordered by anybody. That said, he warns her that if she keeps on refusing, he will let his own snake penetrate her defenses until it drops dead.
What did he say?
However, being the most stubborn character she is, the Azure Sky Snake doesn't care about her life at all. Not long after, they felt an extremely powerful energy coming from a person outside the trap. When the enemies checked it out, they saw Jining cultivating his power. They are dumbfounded that in a short period of time, Jining manages to allow his key elements to manifest their true form. They were taken aback by what they had just witnessed with their naked eyes. That said, Ironwood Jan decided to throw a rock at him to see what would happen if they tried to reach him. Without doing anything, the rock is crushed into smaller pieces, which shocks them even further. Unable to believe what he is seeing, Ironwood Jan uses his flaming whip to pull out a big tree and throws it to Jining. If the rock cannot withstand the force, what are the odds that wood can? Just right rip the doctor because his way of thinking absolutely makes no sense. As expected, the water and fire elements tear down the tree, but not completely this time because it has a lot of debris. Sorry, I spoke too soon. That said, Jining moved from where he sat and punched the tree trunk into pieces with the use of his enhanced fist blow powered by highly concentrated water and fire elements. Ironwood Jan then tries to intimidate him with his words. He tells him that he is a lonely, disgusting loser that nobody likes, and that he will never meet the waifu of her dream. However, Jining is so used to being called like a trash in his past life, let alone being dumped by his girlfriend for a rich guy. That said, Ironwood Jan's word doesn't affect him at all. Pissed off by his strong will, the enemy tells him that he will not allow his clan to have him any further because he will end his journey from that very moment. Hearing all of his petty talks, Jining reiterated that he would continuously grow, unlike him, who hasn't even reached his level despite his old age. Jining even says straight to his face that he will understand the way of the water and the fire lotus to eradicate his very existence. Jining shows his enemy the true form of the combined power of the way of the water and the fire lotus. Witnessing it with his naked eyes, Ironwood Jan feels the chill down his spine. It turns out that it is the legendary Crimson Bright diagram of the 9 heavens that has reached the elemental realm. The big black wolf thinks that Jining is in his weakest state since he just recently broke through. That said, the big black wolf decides to attack him at that very moment. Unfortunately, before he even reaches Jining, the Way of the Water and Fire Lotus change their form into a dragon form and squash the big black wolf like a tomato, making his blood like raindrops. Ironwood Jan has his jaw dropped after seeing how his strong and formidable ally got eliminated easily, considering that their enemy was not yet fighting them directly. Shaking with so much fear, he falls to his knees and begs for him to spare his life. He promises Jining that he will be a good person if he will let him live, and he will no longer be misled by the evil thoughts that surround the cultivation realm. He even calls him elder as a sign of respect to people with greater capabilities than him. Jining asks him if he deserves to live after all the evil things that he has done. He even reiterated that by begging him to spare his life, he is not honoring the sacrifice of his ally, the big black wolf. Ironwood Jan tells him that on the path to cultivation, human emotions have to disappear. He then tells Jining that he can transform himself into a beautiful woman and be his waifu for the rest of his life.
Stop it. Get some help.
Hearing his perspective on the things that he has done and his lack of remorse, Jining decided to end his life. And just like that, the embodiment of the Way of the Water and Fire Lotus envelopes the body of Ironwood Jan and literally turns him into a ground meat. After ending the very existence of Ironwood Jan, Jining asks his Uncle Bai to show himself. It turns out that Jining is fully aware that he has been watching him from the very start. He then asks his Uncle Bai if he is wrong because his parents have told him the same thing as what Ironwood Jan told him, which is leaving emotions behind is the only way to break through. Seeing him confused, his Uncle Bai told him that everyone has their own path to enlightenment and strength. It is not just a one-way-fits-all kind of thing. He also explains that if Ironwood Jan is driven by violence, that could be his own path to enlightenment. Furthermore, he explains to Jining that, in the end, everything boils down to the determination to achieve things at all costs. After saving her from the hand of the enemies, the Azure Sky Snake thanked Jining for his kind deed. Then, she reiterated that she would not submit herself before him. Jining, however, told her that she doesn't have an interest in taking a snake as his pet, which angers her since she is a spirit beast. Jining tells the Azure Sky Snake to go on with life and leave them. He even added that he ended the life of Ironwood Jan because he was too awful for him. To add more insult to injury, he tells her that saving her was not really part of it, which infuriates her since her pride as a woman is being tarnished. When she tells Jining that their affinity ends right there, and then Jining and Uncle Bai casually leave her alone. While the three continue their journey, the Azure Sky Snake stops them and tells Jining that she will allow them to use her however he wants as a form of paying for his kindness. Not long after, Kyuyi sees Chun Kao's village nearby, but their Uncle Bai senses something off in the village. That said, they all rushed to check it out and witnessed the aftermath of a great disaster. Moments later, Kyuyi saw Chun Kao's dead body lying in the grass next to her father. Seeing her beloved servant lady with huge lifeless missiles, Jining felt extremely sad. Also, he regrets wasting his opportunity to play more of her large balloons when he still has the chance to do so.
Stop it. Get some help.
At that moment, Jining realizes that his mother's words about the demons are true. After laughing at the irony of life, he asks the Azure Sky Snake to show her a great place where he can bury the remains of his beloved servant. Soon after, his Uncle Bai talks about the path that everyone takes and up to what extent one can go to protect what is important to them. When Jining asks his Uncle Bai about his chances of winning against the Snake Demon Lord, whom they call Serpentwing, he tells him that he has no chance at all, not unless he trains for 3 more years. His patience cannot take 3 years, so the Azure Sky Snake offers him an alternative way.